Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next episode of the Tactics Board. We've been away for a little bit, but I'm delighted that the lads are back with me tonight to talk, I suppose, what is an absolutely huge couple of weeks for Liverpool Football Club, starting with the game tomorrow against West Brom, but then, I suppose, more importantly, the huge game that we have on Tuesday against Roma. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce Steve Brown and Danny Ventry. How are you, gents?
Good, Jay, you?
Good, mate. Really good. How are you, Steve?
Not too bad. Yeah,
Good,
not too bad.
good man, good man. So I think what we'll do, lads, we'll jump straight into it because we want to try and keep this to 45 minutes to an hour. And we've got two games that we want to try and preview in what is a huge couple of weeks for the Reds. Before we sort of jump in, I suppose, to the West Brom game, let's start on a really positive note. Can you remember a time when there's been so much, I suppose, positivity around Liverpool? You know, there seems some genuine unity around the players and the coaching staff.
Go on, Steve, you can answer that one, mate.
No, it's been a long time. It seems as though it's improved enormously since 13-14 in my time was the only time that there seemed to be complete unity between players, management, fans, everyone. But it feels as though in the past couple of months this has gone up another level. It feels as though everyone's 100% behind the cause. Everyone is solely focused on winning something this year and improving, and it feels like there's steps being made and the steps has been taken since January that have improved the team, have improved the squad, that have improved the club. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. The atmosphere, when you look on the player social media accounts, the likes of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain's social media account, it just looks like the lads are having the best crack.
And I have to say, just on the social media thing, what a blessing James Milner has been to social media. He is absolutely flying for him the last couple of weeks.
He's doing well, isn't he? Off his well, he had a fake account, didn't he? James Milner, the boring account, wasn't it? I think he's kind of playing with that as himself. So, no, it's good to see them having a little laugh and that. I think that I remember I think when they were nearly going to win the league was another time when, you know, everyone was behind them and stuff like that. That's a time I remember as the closeness of a unity of a group that they could go on and win the league that season. But it was an unfortunate time towards the end of the season with I think it was Palace, was it 3-3?
Oh, yeah, it
was.
Did we lose? Yeah, so I think that was one of the most recent times I could probably answer your question too, of when was the last time, you know, something was going to happen, we were on the edge of something again, and that was probably the most recent time for me.
And do you think that the emergence of this Liverpool side is it come to as a shock to you, lads? You know, we had a bit of a blip, you know, a bit of a slow start, but it all seems to have started to come together, particularly sort of post Christmas. Has that come as a surprise to you, Steve?
Yeah, it has, because there was the effect of what happens with Coutinho, what happens to the squad after Coutinho goes, and whether Van Dijk was going to make the squad better or make the team better, whatever it might be. So it is a surprise that we've sold what many people thought was our best player, and we've actually kicked on since then.
And Danny, Steve touched on it there, and we might touch on it later in a little bit more detail. But given, I suppose, the public response to the selling of Coutinho, has this Liverpool team, and particularly the emergence of the midfield, the midfield three that have been doing the business in recent weeks, has that come as a shock to yourself?
Not so much of a shock, no. You know, the quality players in that team, I think maybe with Coutinho going, you know, some of them have stood up now. Well, they've all stood up now and to be counted, and they all want to be the best player. You know, or like Coutinho was brilliant with what he'd done. He was probably on another level, but they've all seemed to like mucked in and having more of a team effect now instead of just relying on the one player. So in a way, I think it kind of benefits us that Coutinho's gone. No one seen that at the time, and no one thought that would happen because we lost such an influential player. But to be fair to the lad, they've all mucked in, and and they're pulling the weight, and just it's showing. The results are showing, and at the turn of the year, there's new signings coming in, and they've got to take time to gel and get used to how the manager wants them to play. So, Klopp's playing a certain brand of football, which now they're all buying into, and it's paying off. It's probably gone to the days where we have to score 3, to win a game, because we'd always look like we're going to see it. And recently, now since Van Dijk's come in, there's clean sheets in there. Carriers, the keeper's done really well as well. So you can't forget him. He's done really well since the third of the year.
And just one point to pick up on there, Danny, before we sort of move on to West Brom. Particularly in the instance of Phil Coutinho, and if you've been in dressing rooms where perhaps some of your teammates are potentially looking for a move, or know that other clubs are interested, or they're unhappy, what sort of a ripple effect can that have in the dressing room? And can it create a negativity amongst teammates?
I've seen it before, yeah. Certain lads, give it their all until, the last kick on the pitch, whether they're going or they're staying, leaving. Some players down tools. It depends how they want to get the move. If the club's happy for them to say, look, yeah, we'll let you go at the end of the season, lads will generally, give it their all till the end of the season. If a club's saying, look, we're not going to let you go, certain players will down tools, and then they become like kind of a cancer in the changing room and not doing what they usually do on the pitch, and it affects other players, and then it can come a bit stale in the changing room, and that can go right through the club and affect your season. So I don't know, maybe it was quite right for Liverpool to get rid of Coutinho at the time. I know that he did want the move. It was a bit similar to the Suarez situation. But the world class players, they should pull the weight until it's right time to go. And if you're professional, then that's a given. But as I say, it can affect other players, but it doesn't seem to affect Liverpool in a bad way at all. As I say, since he's gone, they've all kind of kicked on.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I was having a look today at, I suppose, some stats that sort of pre-Coutinho and post-Coutinho. And if you look at, things like win percentages, goals per game, all the sort of benchmarks that you would have for a successful team, there's so much positivity and improvement post-Coutinho. We're conceding less goals. We're having more shots per game. The team are comfortably winning more tackles. And I mean, from my own perspective, I kind of put that down to when Phil would play, I got the sense that if we're having an off day, we're playing at 60, 70%. It's very easy for some players just to pop the ball into Coutinho and hope that he pulls a little bit of magic out of the hat. Whereas now they don't have that easy option. I think Klopp's alluded to it in some press conferences. He said there's no hiding place for players now, and it seems like everybody has a defined role in this team. You have a more workman-like midfield with your Milner, your Henderson, your Oxlade-Chamberlain, and the pace at which we can break now, particularly in transition with the likes of Oxlade-Chamberlain, seems to make us a much more dangerous animal going forward. What do you think, Steve?
Oh, sorry, Jay, just dipped out there. Say that again, mate.
I was just saying, with the emergence of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain in midfield now, particularly in our sort of offensive transitions, it makes us a much more difficult team to try and stop with the pace at which we move the ball.
Yeah, we've had this conversation about this when Coutinho was sold, that he wasn't particularly a Klopp player. If you look at Klopp's previous teams and the way he wants to play, and he was so good you couldn't leave him out. He had to play. But what we're seeing now is a team that's moulded into the way Klopp wants to play. There's no, it's now getting to the stage where there's no excuses. Klopp can't turn around and say it's not my team or it's not my squad. It's now his. It's the way he wants it to be playing. The emergence of Chamberlain recently, like me and you have always been fans of him, but there's been others that haven't been, and it's now that he's actually winning other people around as well. He's doing everything you want from a centre midfielder. His ability to drive at teams. It's the first thought in his mind is, how can I get forward? How can I do this? All he wants to do is drive at teams and play in the other lads. It's not so. And when it comes down to it, he can play the passes, he can keep the ball, he can keep it neat and tidy when he needs to. But his first thought, as we've seen against City twice, his first thought is go at goal. Just go at goal. And it terrifies defenders. If he gets behind or runs at he's running at two centre halves, and then you've three lads splitting either side. It makes a massive difference.
There's nothing worse, is there, when you're defending that?
Dan, it's terrifying, mate. You know yourself, the player with pace and strength running at you, it's absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, it is.
So what I want to do, lads, and I'm delighted that Chamberlain, just to finish off, is starting to get the plaudits that I think he deserves. And I think for me, it shows what a little bit of man management and belief from your manager can do for a player. He just seems to be given a platform and a little bit of trust. And support from the fans, and I think he's only going to get better, which is fantastic for the club. So what I want to do now, lads, I suppose, is move on to West Brom. Before we sort of move into them in detail, I want to have a little look, I suppose, at the block of fixtures that we've got coming up. Because I know managers don't look at fixtures in isolation. They'll look at the next 2, 3, 4, 5 games and see how they can potentially manage the squad. So just before we sort of dive into West Brom, how do you see the approach tomorrow from a Liverpool standpoint, given the fact that we have such a quick turnaround before Tuesday's game?
I think, for me, Jay, I think you've just got to put your full squad out tomorrow. And make sure we are in that top 4 first and foremost. It's the Champions League. Don't forget we're playing against the elite of the elite. And, for me, being in the Champions League next season is a priority for me. All right, we know we're in the semi-final and we've got a great chance of winning it. I think we've got a better chance of consolidating our top 4 finish first of all, and then let's see where we get in the Champions League. I think the squad's big enough to rotate 2 or 3 players, if at the most. But for me, I think you can fly at West Brom and then take some players off after 60 minutes. I think the game could be won within 60 minutes, and then that's when you can start looking to Tuesday against Roma.
Yeah, so keep it a 60-minute match. Make sure that we start fast, get a couple of goals up early, and try and put the tie to bed as quickly as possible.
Yeah, well, as quickly as possible. West Brom are going to come and slow the game down. You've seen that they do like to sit deep and try and on the counter-attack. Now, they've got a new manager, but they've got to come out and try and win the game. I haven't really looked at where they are in the league. I know that they're thereabouts down there, and they have to come out and win a game. They've got to come out at some stage in the game, which will open it up for us. But as I said, they'll slow the game down. So I don't think it's going to be a most exerting game for the players. So probably that's why I'm saying just go full it at the game and just fly at them and try and win it within the 60 minutes.
Steve, I've just pulled up what you would assume would be West Brom's starting lineup for tomorrow, and I think they've got a little bit of sort of new manager syndrome going on at the moment. We've touched on that in previous podcasts and how you get that initial bump in performance levels. They've picked up 2, in the last 2 games since the new manager come in, they've got 4 points, one of which was a good away win to Manchester United. Now, looking at how they played that game against Manchester United, it was very much a smash and grab. 30% possession. They sat in sort of 4-4-2, which quite quickly became a 4-5-1. Do you share Danny's sentiments about tomorrow's game that they're gonna try and frustrate, slow the game down, and stop us from getting into our attacking rhythm?
Yeah, that's what West Ham have done for years. It's not a surprise. It doesn't make a difference who the manager is. That's their game plan. I disagree with Danny. I wouldn't risk players tomorrow. It's mad. Like, we've a European Cup semi-final on Tuesday night. It's not Wednesday. Tuesday night. I'd be resting Van Dijk for me now. I give Salah maybe an hour because he wants to win the Golden Boot. But I honestly, if we go 2-0 up after 20 minutes and Salah's playing, he's coming off. Like, it's so, like, I'm fairly convinced we have top 4 wrapped up with the games we have left. But for me, it's all about Tuesday.
It's funny that you should say in terms of the points, the points you think that we've got it wrapped up, because I've seen some stats that are pulled up on the screen now from Andrew Beasley, and it very much looks, he's more of a mathematician than me, so I'm not going to go into the algorithms behind it, but it looks like Liverpool, from the remaining fixtures, would only need 2 wins to secure top 4. So if you think back to the fixtures that we had up, a minute ago, we've got Brighton, we've got Stoke, and we've got West Brom, and then obviously the Chelsea game, you'd be confident that we'd be able to get the points that we need.
Look, West Brom are bottom for a reason. It's not to do with, they're not a very, very good side. We've Stoke next week, who are just as bad. We should be picking up wins, regardless of the team we put out tomorrow or next Saturday. Like next Saturday, I'm expecting Gary McAllister centre midfield and Russian Dalglish up front. Honestly, we should be comfortable enough. Let Spurs are behind us as well. Let Spurs worry about Chelsea, if that's the case. We should be putting pressure. We win tomorrow, regardless of the squad that's out tomorrow. We win tomorrow, we go 10 clear of them again. With 4, we'd have 3 games left. They'll have 4.
Do you think though, Steve, there's always going to be? I mean, you know me now well enough that I'm the eternal optimist when it comes to Liverpool. But do you think that there's always going to be still, till we hopefully get some silverware on the board, there's going to be that niggle in a lot of fans' heads that, wouldn't it just be a Liverpool? Wouldn't it just be a Liverpool to drop points here? Or do you think that we've now turned a corner?
I think we've turned a corner. There's ruthlessness in this team. The club has bred ruthlessness. The way, we started making 3 and 4-0 wins routine, like we did against Bournemouth last week. 3-0 was routine, and 3-0 flattered Bournemouth as well. I don't get this mentality. We're 7 clear of Chelsea with 4 games left. Although I'm saying that, I got a post today, a picture off my Man City supporting uncle of the league table with 3 games to go in 13-14.
Oh, stop. I still can't get over it.
Right, honestly, he keeps coming up on Facebook memories now, obviously around this time of year, and I just keep getting pictures every day. So, but look, it's a different team, it's a different squad, it's a different mentality. I feel we should be getting comfortably 3 points tomorrow, and we should be comfortably relegating Stoke next week, and that'll be that. The goal difference between us and Chelsea is massive as well.
Yeah, it's an extra point.
Yeah, it really is. I wouldn't even be ideally we have it wrapped up before we go to Chelsea, and we're rest. We play full strength Chelsea and rest for Brighton. But it's football. But honestly, I just can't see how we throw it away now. I really, really can't.
Danny, I'll come to you, and there's one thing I suppose, particularly focusing on tomorrow's game. It very much seems like West Brom, stay compact. They look to clip long balls into Rondon, and then you'll have Jay Rodriguez who will sort of circle him and look to pick up the bits. One thing I think that has changed in this Liverpool team now is obviously the emergence of Virgil van Dijk, and whereas we've always, a lot of people have said we've got a bit of a soft underbelly. And, we'll cave to the sort of direct approach. It seems very much now that we've had a tactic in the last few weeks where we've encouraged teams to actually go wide and put balls into the area, high into the box, and we've been able to deal with them very comfortably.
Yeah, he looks secure, Virgil, when the balls are coming in the box. He doesn't mind balls coming in the box. We get enough bodies back to defend crosses. So, I can't see West Brom. They might play McLean on the left wing and try and launch balls in the box, but I can only see them going direct and trying to sit back and hit us on the break. So I think Liverpool just got to be patient tomorrow, break them down, just be careful, of them. Them breaks, like you say. Like Steve said before, it's West Brom and they are a poor team, but they've just gone to United and won 1-0. The Premier League has got a habit of someone turning around the bottom team and beating the top team, no problem. Because they're in the Premier League, they're all quality players, all right, they're having bad runs, but the new manager effect, they only need one grab. Leicester virtually won the league, doing a smash and grab every week. You know, was it last year or the year before when Leicester won the league? So, you know, it's a wounded beast. The coming wounded, you know, and it's a dangerous animal to play with a wounded team. You know, they've got a little bit of belief now going to United and winning, coming to Anfield. They've just got to come out and try and win. So, you know, balls into the box. That shouldn't be a problem the way Van Dijk's performing at the minute.
It's one thing that I kind of picked up, and Steve touched on it there, was the professional performance against Bournemouth last week. And I think that's been a little bit underplayed in the media, because I think it was a really good performance, controlled performance. And I think that's something now that's synonymous with this Liverpool team is the control in which we're navigating games. And one thing that I kind of picked up on is the emergence of our fullbacks, particularly when we're playing against the sort of bottom 10 sides or the teams that will come and look to frustrate. And I suppose the link-ups that I'm starting to see happen now, you know, in the last few games and the last couple of months in particular, is Andrew Robertson and Mane, which you can see on the top graphic, the amount of times that they find each other. And then also now Trent, and you're seeing it in spectacular fashion with his crossing for Mo Salah. There seems real quality coming from those wide areas now in Robinson and Trent.
Yeah, well, you know, fullbacks are playing an important part of the game. I think the game against Bournemouth, you'd always fear that because we've just been on such a high in the Champions League, you come back down to the earth with a bump. So I think, you know, getting the win at home to Bournemouth was brilliant. You know, it's, as you said, the media hasn't given it enough credit for what it was worth, because it's a great win. Just keeps the run going. Going into your what you've just told us about the graph and the fullbacks linking up with the Mane and Salah, you can see Trent, you know, against the lesser teams getting forward more, and Robinson getting forward more. I think Trent put about 3 or 4 great balls into the box just before he set one up for Salah. You know, he could have assisted, as I say, 3 or 4 goals on the day. You know, he's going to get one right, and he was getting forward more. So I think it will probably be the same tomorrow. As you say, West Brom will probably sit back, and our fullbacks will be delivering balls in from wide areas.
And Steve, I'll come to you, because I know we've spoken detail around Andrew Robinson, but one thing that's particularly interested me, I suppose, with his emergence in the side is the effect that it's had on Sadio Mane. It seems because the team trust Robinson so much in terms of him stretching the pitch, getting down the left, providing an outlet, Sadio Mane is finding himself appear in little pockets now, very much in the central sort of space, central left space, nearly in the way of a number 10 in some games. Do you see this as a position that he could make his own moving forward?
It is Mane's position. It's allowing Mane to drift inside. Like, there's been a lot of talk about Mane this season about whether he's having a poor season. He doesn't seem to be as good as he was last year. But yeah, people forget that it's a whole new position. Like, he's playing a totally new position this year. And Robertson, rather than Moreno, Robertson's an intelligent footballer. He knows when to overlap. He knows when to come and join in. He knows when to bring it inside, keep it short. And it gives Mane the option. Mane doesn't have to hold his position every time, waiting wide. So he is able to drift in. He's able to get involved. And surprisingly enough, I didn't think he was. I thought Mane was a pace merchant when we first signed him. I thought he was a pace merchant, winger. He will get you a few goals. But we've seen since Christmas, since Robertson has gotten into the team, we've seen the difference with Mane, that he is an intelligent footballer. He wants to join in. He wants to play these passes. He's always constantly looking for 1-2s and touches off Firmino. I don't think there's any doubt that it is because of Robertson's emergence. We weren't seeing this last year when he was playing wide on the right with Klein. We weren't seeing it at the start of the season with Moreno playing left full either. So it's these relationships, like you lads know as well from playing, it's relationships. Everywhere on the pitch there's a relationship. There's your 2 centre halves, your right sided centre half and your right full, your centre midfielders. It's units inside a team.
Yeah.
It's linked me well in terms of the units, because I want to bring us on to, I suppose, what would be for a lot of people the 11 for tomorrow's game. Steve, it sounds like you might disagree with some of these, and I encourage that, which is good. But one thing I want to touch on, and I'll come to you, Danny, on this, is if you're a footballer, and I know from my own time of playing, I don't want to miss a game of football. I don't care if it's kickabout in the park, it's training, it's a cup game against the lower side. I want to play in every single minute of every single game, and if I don't, I get pissed off. And to be honest, I want to keep that momentum going. If I know that I've got a big game come Tuesday, I still want to keep my body moving on the Saturday and at least get a 70 minutes in the tank and then rest up well for the Tuesday. So I suppose my question to you is, what effect from your experience does momentum have on footballers? It's a term that's bandied about a lot, I think. But I suppose from your side, if you are making those connections with your centre midfielder, or you're making your connections with a centre back or those around you, with the game just around the corner on Tuesday, which is massive for everybody, would you say that a lot of those players will be knocking down Klopp's door saying, make sure I play in this game on Saturday?
Possibly, yeah. From my own experience of wanting to play games, you go back to the old cliche of you don't change a winning team for any game. The team that wins the week before starts. Now, I think players have probably, they may have had a little word with Klopp, or Klopp's gone round to them and asked them how they're feeling. I think Klopp's that type of manager that he likes players to approach him. It's a two-way street. It's not like you're playing or you're not playing. I think he'll gauge off players if how they're feeling. You're okay to play, you're not. Do you want to have a little rest? Do you want to prefer to play Tuesday or what? So I think it's a two-way street, and that is where his man management comes into it. Now, I'm not saying I know that's what he does, but I'd like to think that's what he does because the way the players react to him. For me, I'm the same as you. I'd want to play. I want to play tomorrow. Your next game's your most important game. And going off, your teams, what you've got on your graph there, if there is a couple of changes, it might be the likes of Klein comes in at right back. He might come on after an hour. It doesn't matter who Liverpool put in tomorrow. Like, they should be beating West Brom. But for me, that's why I said I'd want to be playing. That's why I think Klopp will go full tilt tomorrow. But the momentum for me is very important. I'd want to be playing myself.
And Steve, I'll come to you because you obviously don't agree with the 11 that we have. You'd make some changes, and where in particular would you make those changes?
I'd make changes.
You'd wrap salad up in cotton wool.
Honestly, as I said, we've done the hard work. We've gotten to the position we're in the league. We've a European Cup semi-final on Tuesday. This is the mad thing that people don't seem to realise. Fair enough, our squad isn't deep. We're not a City, or we're not a United of a few years ago where we can put quality in for quality. But the terrifying thought of Van Dijk picking up a knock tomorrow, or Salah picking up a knock tomorrow.
So it'll be a tough game for Van Dijk tomorrow if they do go direct into Rondon. That's possibly true what you're saying. Yeah, he could have a little battle on his hands tomorrow.
Exactly, and it depending on who Klopp wants to play on Tuesday night or right full. So if it's Klein or Trent or Gomez, whoever it may be, they're in for a rough afternoon tomorrow if James McClean is playing. McClean will kick anything that moves.
Yeah. He is.
No, that's not having a go at the lad. He's a good, honest, hard-working lad. But he'll go through anything. He done it last week against United. He absolutely lettered Ashley Young up in the air. Or sorry, it wasn't Young, it was Sanchez. After 10 minutes, kicked Sanchez, and that was it. So it's the worry of that. We have a European Cup semi-final on Tuesday.
But Steve, I'll challenge you on that. Was the objective at the start of the season a top 4 finish and I'm just playing devil's advocate now, was the objective for this Liverpool team not a top 4 finish? And is anything in the Champions League not just a bonus?
100% it was a top 4 finish because we need Champions League for next year to build on this season. But we're in a semi-final. It's not this is the thing. It's a European Cup semi-final. Haven't had one for 10 years, 11 years, or what was it? 2009 last one, right? And we got blasé about European Cup semi-finals in Rafa's time. We were, it's a pity that we have to play. Bored of playing Chelsea in the European Cup semi-final. I'm sorry. This is all the season is about now. for me personally, anyway, if I was, look, I know, I understand players want to play games, Salah wants to win the Golden Boot, so on, but you're on the verge of a Champions League final.
So then on that point, you're the manager, Steve, and Danny, I'll ask you the same question. I'll come to you first, Danny, then Steve. You're the manager, and you have to tell Mo Salah that he's not going to start when he's hunting the Golden Boot. How do you think that conversation is going to go? And I'll come to you first, Danny.
It is a tough one, playing devil's advocate, but look, you can reiterate to him how important he is to the team, how important Tuesday night is, and you can say to him, look, he's got every faith in the team that he's putting out tomorrow. If with 30 minutes to go we're struggling, I'll get him on. I'll get you on for a run, to get your legs open, get your lungs going. But I'll tell him in no uncertain terms, look, don't get injured. Stay away from, tackles, jump at them. If it looks like you're going into a tackle, just leave it. And that's probably not the right thing to say, but it's hard for a manager in them circumstances. You want your best players on the pitch on the toughest games. So, whoever plays up there tomorrow, I think they have got more than enough to win the game. But I'll be saying, look, Mo, get ready, for you to be called upon, because we may need you.
Go on, Steve, you're the manager. What's that conversation like? Because you seem a bit more cutthroat.
I'm fucking ruthless, mate. Absolutely ruthless. I've got 40 goals. You're going into a European Cup semi-final on Tuesday, where you're going to be the main man. Simple.
Steve,
you need
what if we don't
I think he plays. Danny, I think he plays. I think he starts tomorrow. I do.
Yeah,
I really do. He is that good that fair enough, you don't want to drop him. But if the game is won at half time, he's off.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, if you don't get top 4 and we get beaten in the semi-final, what's the season? The season wouldn't be a disaster, and there's signs of us how good we've been, but I'd rather confirm one than the other as quick as I can.
Yeah,
I'd rather confirm having Champions League next season rather than risking having none by the end of a couple of weeks' time, 3 weeks' time.
Yeah. Well, that brings me nicely, lads. That brings me nicely on to the Champions League. Before we do that, just quick predictions for tomorrow's game. How do you see it going? Go
on, Steve. With your reserve team out.
Reserve team out. Danny Iniesta scoring a hat-trick before half-time. Van Dijk, Salah, and whoever else. I'd start the second half with 8.
What about you, Dan?
I'm going to go 3-0 again. But I think Ings may start, but I still think Salah will start. I think maybe Firmino may start or Mane, one of the two. 3-0.
I think Firmino. Sorry, Dan, for cutting you off. I think Firmino is the one that you want to rest tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think he's the one you want to rest. He's the one that's key to everything. I think he's the one that probably needs a break more. So it's not a matter of momentum with him. I think Firmino can come into a game after 10 days off and he can just get to his level straight away.
So, gents, that brings us on to the Champions League. And the first thing I want to start off on before we sort of dive into Roma was, what was your reaction, I suppose, with the teams that are left in the draw? Who were you hoping for, and what was your first thought when we drew Roma?
I was hoping for Roma. It doesn't matter who you get in that Champions League at this stage. It's going to be tough, but I just think we're more mobile than them. Obviously, the Premier League's a lot faster paced than them. I think we can get at them. And like I said last time against City, I think the tie could be over in the first leg. And that's what I predicted last time. The tie basically was over in the first leg against City. Again, I think it could be the same again. Roma did come back from 4-1 down to win 3-0 against Barcelona, but we've experienced it now. Klopp knows which way to go about it. For me, I'm going to be bold in my statements, is that Liverpool kill off Roma in the first leg again, like they did City.
And I'll come to Al, who's joined us a little bit late, fashionably late, mate. I like it. How are you?
Hello, lads. You okay?
We're good, mate. How are you?
I'm good. Sorry about that. The lad's he's got games on a Friday night at the minute, and we've literally only just walked in.
Don't blame him. You brushed your teeth for ages.
Did Jamie tell you about the fine system?
Yeah, you broke up there, mate.
Did Jamie tell you about
He's got you there. He's got you. I'll come to you, Al, as you've just joined us. We've done a bit of a review on the West Brom game, so you probably timed it quite well, because I think everybody's focus is the Roma game. And Danny kind of made a point there that he thinks the tie could potentially be over from the first leg. And one thing I want to ask you is, do you think there's as much importance now on the first and second leg? And by that I mean particularly this Liverpool side, because we have the ability quite comfortably to go away from home and score goals. Do you feel that us having the first leg at home, it could even be seen as an advantage if we're able to keep them, to a 0?
Yeah, I agree. It's like the Man City. I thought the Man City game was always going to play into Liverpool's hands, because Man City had to come out and attack Liverpool, and we picked them off late on. And I think the way Liverpool play, with the pace that they've got on the team, and the teams have to come at. I don't think I've just caught the end of Danny there. I do think the tie will be over after the first leg. I've got to be honest with you. But if it's 0-0 or 1-0. I still think Liverpool will go through comfortably, because Rome will have to come at Liverpool in the second leg, and the same will happen for me. They just get picked off like Man City did.
And that leads me nicely, onto my next question. And I suppose, is this Liverpool team ideally set up for knockout football? And by that I mean, because when teams attack us, particularly the style that Klopp has, where he wants us to press high, win the ball back high, where we're closer to the goal and can affect the game. Do you feel like this team is ideally suited to knockout football?
I think the team is more so than the manager. I think the manager set up to win things. I think the team is set up at the moment because, as Al said, the way we pick teams off coming in late, when teams have to come on to us, that's when we're at our best. Especially going back to the earlier point that since January, since Van Dijk came in, we look so much more solid. We're not conceding goals from set pieces. We can now rely on our centre-backs. We can rely on our goalkeeper. He's making saves. So I think, I agree with the lads, the tie could be over on Tuesday night, but Roma aren't a bad side. They're no mug. They're not a great side. They're not Barcelona. They're not Real Madrid or Bayern Munich. But they're not a bad side. It'd be a strange tie going into it as favourites, to be honest. We went into the City game as massive underdogs. People thought City would knock us, pass us off the pitch even, and it was the perfect setup for City. It's going to have to be a different setup depending on the way Roma decide to set up.
And Danny, I'll come to you, because Steve touched on the fact that Roma is in itself is a completely different proposition to City. We go into this as favourites. One thing I noticed, I suppose, and I pulled up the two setups that Roma adopted against Barcelona, home and away. At home, they played away from home. Sorry, they played 4-5-1. And I suppose with their desire, I assume, to keep it tight. They were quite convincingly beaten at Barcelona. What type of effect do you think that would have on their game plan coming to Anfield, having been convincingly beaten when trying to shut up shop? And the second question on that is, do you think that will make them change the system coming into the away leg?
I think they will. I think they're going to try and slow the game down. And I feel like Alan said, the pace that we have, when the game's open, the pace that we have and we can hit teams on the break is when we're good. Now, Roma, I think, when they come into Anfield, they're going to spoil the game. I think, that's their plan. I think they'll go with now. Liverpool good at breaking teams down. They're not bad at it. I just think it's better if teams come at us like City did. City don't change really for a lot for anyone, and that suited us kind of thing. But I just think Roma's going to adapt. They're going to try and keep the score down, and they're going to have belief that whoever they get at home, they can beat, because they've just beat Barcelona, at home 3-0. It's, that's no mean feat. Who beats Barcelona 3-0 at home? So they'll be thinking, keep the score down at Anfield to the best we can. We'll get them back at home. We'll just beat Barcelona 3-0. Why can't we beat Liverpool at home 3-0? So I think they're going to come and defend me.
And I'll come to you, with your sort of coaching hat on and also your playing hat on. If you were to go to Anfield under this Jurgen Klopp side, what would you be telling your side to focus on, in terms of the threats that Liverpool pose? Because, from an outsider looking in, it looks like there's threats everywhere. You've got runners from midfield now, you've got width and genuine quality from full-back areas. And the front three, you can wax lyrical about those. They can create problems at any given time. So, from a coaching perspective, how do you go about plotting, a win at Anfield, or a draw, or at least taking points from Anfield under Klopp?
I think most teams who've had successes, limited successes, stopping Liverpool this season, they've had two banks, banks of four and a bank of five in front of them, and they basically just condense the space, allow Liverpool all of the space what Liverpool wants in Liverpool's own half. It sounds daft that when I say, but leave Liverpool's back lads to have the ball, and then if I was trying to stop this Liverpool team, I'd just say to all of my players, just drop deep in our own half and try and make Liverpool play in front of you. And for me personally, I'd force. If I was a coach trying to stop Liverpool, I'd force Liverpool out wide to deliver balls into the box. Because, I know, listen to Salah's header goal was a delivery in the box, but Liverpool's main strength is not putting balls in the box and getting someone on the end of it. So I'd be quite happy to force Liverpool to go out on the flanks and allow them to cross the ball and defend the box.
And Steve, I'll come to you off the back of Al's point. There's two trains of thought here, and I'm kind of split on both, to be honest. There's Al's train of thought where it's very much let them have the balls in areas where you want them to have it. Leave no space in behind for the quick players to exploit. And particularly on that point, if you looked at the second half against City, I think Pep changing to a 4 at the back played into our hands, because what it meant was Fernandinho would step out from the back and leave huge gaps in behind, and Klopp was able to spot that and say to Salah, you go central, exploit that space in behind with your pace. I think he moved Firmino out onto the left, and it played into our hands because it gave us that space. So what my question is to you is, do you think that Roma will adopt a style that tries to restrict the space in behind? Or now, given the fact that sort of away goals can play so much weight over a two-legged tie, do you think that there's a chance they may shift to the 3 at the back that worked so effectively against Barcelona and try and press us high and nick a goal?
I think if Roma were... Ideally, Roma go 3 at the back. From our point of view, ideally, Roma go 3 at the back. If they go 4-5-1... They've got De Rossi, Strootman and Nangolan in the middle, who are absolute dogs. Absolute dogs. They'll kick. They'll do everything they can to spoil, but they're brilliant footballers as well. When they get on the ball, they're well able to move it. De Rossi is an absolute beast of a player. But if you're leaving 3 at the back, so if you're leaving Fazio, who flopped in the Premier League, Fazio, Manolas went off injured against Lazio the other night. There's a big doubt whether he's even available. And your man Juan Jesus, who failed at Inter, who was a shock conclusion actually for Roma. If you've those 3 against with Kolarov backtracking, like they're expecting Kolarov to play left wing back and track back. Like we've seen Kolarov for how long in the Premiership playing for City, and lovely footballer, lovely on the ball.
Loves a shot from 60 yards
strength,
as well.
Yeah, but his strength isn't going backwards. So that's where your space is going to be. So the ideal situation for Liverpool is Roma set up a 3 at the back. If Roma decide that they're shutting the game down and they're coming for Anfield for a 0-0, you'd worry, because they have the ability to do that. They have Dzeko up front, who they can hit long, they can play off Dzeko. But the only thing with Roma is they don't have a lot of pace. Doesn't matter where you look in their team. Like if they're relying on Dzeko to try and get in behind Lovren and Van Dijk, you're feeling fairly comfortable there.
And I think that's the thing with Van Dijk. You know, we seem to touch on him every week, but he's been such a massive influence at the back that, you know, Dzeko's a physical presence. You'd be confident that Van Dijk would be able to deal with that. Then if he does look to get in behind, you'd be confident that Van Dijk would be able to deal with that. And what that's allowed us to do is press high and really back ourselves in those 1v1 situations. So what I'll do, I'll come to you on this, I suppose, from a Roma perspective before we move on to Liverpool. What would you see as a good result for them going into this game? Is it simply just a case of trying to keep the scoreline down, or is it trying to nick that away goal and take something back to their place?
No, I mean, I think Roma would be well aware of the Man City game where Man City were blown away, you know, in a short period of time. A perfect scenario for Roma it'd be a 0-0, wouldn't it? Get them back to their place, and you know, then have a go. As Danny said, I personally don't think that this is a very good Rome team. I'm going to be honest with you. You know, you had De Rossi and the good players, but would they get in would the likes of De Rossi get in the top 6 Premier League team? Maybe a few years ago. Maybe a few years ago we would have, but not some. I don't think so now. Kolarov, you know, he done okay at Man City. You know, Dzeko's a goal scorer. He is a threat, but you know, I just don't see how they're going to hurt us. I'm being honest. I don't want to sound overconfident, but I don't see how Rome can hurt Liverpool.
I think they've got any midfield runners, Alan, anything. Do you know what I mean?
No,
even if they do go into Dzeko, who runs off him? You know,
that's what I mean. Stay at the nail on the head there. The 3 midfielders, look, they're good players. I'm not saying they're bad players, but the kind of dogs, they're like the ratters, and they have got they have got good ability. And I'm not saying that. I just see how they can hurt Liverpool. I'm being honest. I'm looking through their team, what you've got up there, and I'm like, there's not a player there where you go, well, he worries me. You know, you look at the Man City team, you're like, well, all of them worry you.
Especially when they're playing 10 up front.
Exactly.
And the thing with City, the City game is everyone in Europe watched that. That was European wide. Like, people sat up and paid attention to Liverpool after them 2 results. Like, we bashed them in Anfield for 45 minutes, and then we picked them off. We comfortably picked them off in the second leg. It's not just Roma that would have been watching that. Real Madrid and Bayern Munich would have been looking at that and went, ooh, not too sure about that now either. And Rome being the weakest team left in the competition, if you go by bookies' odds, and bookies are very rarely wrong, they're not going to be too comfortable coming down the field.
And it's funny because you could see it you could hear it in Al's tone. We're nearly, as fans, I think, apologetic for being confident because we've probably been burnt so many times by this Liverpool team. You know, it's the famous saying, the hope that kills you. But I think there's now been a mentality shift, not only in the players, but also the fans, where, you know, we're seeing us, you know, being able to shut out one of the most talented teams in Europe in Manchester City over 2 legs. Yes, we rode our luck, but you ride your luck against every good team. You know, but we were relatively in control, particularly in the second half of the first leg. City had a lot of ball, but it was where we wanted them to have the ball. They never got in behind us. And the second leg, yes, you know, because we had to try and adapt to them basically playing, I think it was nearly 5 up front at one point. You know, it took some adjusting, and we just had to bite down on the mouth guard and get through to half time, kind of thing. But I suppose coming into this game against Roma, would you say that from a Liverpool perspective, that the team nearly picks itself at this stage? And a second sort of point on that, you know, the back 5 now probably looks like the strongest back 5 I think I can remember in recent years. And obviously the front 3 pick themselves. I'll come to you, Steve. Is the only question marks in the Liverpool setup going to be around the middle 3 and who are the personnel?
I think 2 of the 3 are nailed on. I think Henderson starts regardless. And I think Chamberlain starts as well to give us, as we talked about earlier on, to give us that pace and drive from midfield. So then you're looking at whether it's between Milner and Wijnaldum. Personally, I think it's a toss-up, but Milner's been so impressive the past 6 weeks. Like, he really has stepped up and made that position his own. Wijnaldum did play against City, but you have to remember Henderson was suspended. So is it a case that Wijnaldum sits at this one out and it's Milner? Just for experience-wise, we don't have many players that played in big games. This is the other side of the coin. Like, we don't have players that have won competitions, whereas Milner has. Milner has the experience of winning league titles. There's not a whole lot of experience in our squad with that. So personally, I think you'll go for Milner, but I think that's the only question mark out of the team.
I'll come to you, Danny, because one thing, just touching on what Steve said there, I mean, from my perspective, for what it's worth, I think Milner and Henderson now appear to be Klopp's kind of lieutenants, I suppose, in midfield. I think he feels that he can trust those players. And I've just pulled up a graphic there on the screen of the average positions that Liverpool players had against Manchester City. And if you particularly look now at the number 14, obviously Jordan Henderson and James Milner, they very much seem to anchor that midfield. They patrol in front of the back four. They do the donkey work. They win the ball. And they allow the front four, I suppose it is now. If you look at how high Chamberlain is when looking in that setup, you know, it's unleashing that front four. Do you very much feel, I suppose, that those two kind of underpin all of the fantastic work that the front players are now doing?
Of course they do. They allow the front players to go and win the game. Also, they allow a fullback to step in, because if one fullback steps in, one of them can either shuffle over and delay teams breaking on us, which, you know, some teams look to do to try and, you know, hit us on the break. So they've been doing really well of late, especially Milner. I think he's been fantastic in the games he's played in. His experience, his cleverness of, you know, where to pick up positions if the ball breaks down. So for me, it's a great time for letting the front four basically go and win you the game. You're basically saying to you, come on, win the game. Let's see what you can do for us. We'll just delay and get you the ball when we can.
And I'll come to you in terms of this. This first leg at Anfield. We've seen the importance, I suppose, of Manchester City not getting a goal in that first leg, and the confidence that it gave Liverpool, knowing that if we got the one goal, that they'd have to score multiple in the second leg. Do you nearly feel that would be one of the most important factors going into this game, is that we're able to keep composed and make sure that they go away with no goals conceded, no goals scored?
Yeah, I think that would be quite important. But just going back on on Milner. For me, Milner's the absolute guaranteed starter in midfield. For me, I think he's the
whether he's skipping or not.
Whether he's skipping or not, I think he is the guaranteed midfield starter. And I think if you notice the last few games, Klopp's been resting him. I think Milner's an absolute shoo-in. One, he's got big game experience, and two, I mean, how many blocks did he get in against Man City? Last-ditch tackles and blocks. Three, he's got more assists than anyone in the Champions League.
Yeah, so he's contributing at both ends.
So he's doing both. But sorry, I'll go back to your point. For the first time in a long time, for me, Jay, it's kind of now your confidence of Liverpool being able to shut teams out and keep clean sheets because of the Van Dijk effect. And I think if we stop Roma scoring in the home tie, it's game over for me.
So that leads me nicely on to predictions, lads, because we're nearly up for the hour now. So there seems a lot of confidence, across the lads, which I love. I'm going to come to do a round table to all of the lads, and I want to hear a prediction for obviously this first leg against Roma, but then the tie overall. And I'll come to you first, Steve.
I think we could do them 4-0 on Tuesday night. I don't know, like the points we've all said. They don't have any pace. They're not great at the back. If we can get the level up to where we were against City first leg for the first half, and I just see us picking them off. I think they get desperate. They try and get an away goal. They got one behind. The more if we get two up on them, they will get desperate and they'll come out to try and get that away goal. I think we beat them 6-1 over 2 legs.
How do you follow that, Dan?
I'm going to go exactly the same as the quarter-final against City. 3-0 at home. 2-1 away, was it?
Bag full of goals.
Just exactly the same scenario for me.
Al?
4-0 over the 2 legs. 3-0 at home, 1-0 away.
And do a push me luck and ask you for a prediction in the final when we get there.
Let's see. Yeah. We're playing yet, Jay.
I'm just getting excited, mate. I feel like we're on the cusp of something special.
Yeah, we beat Bayern Munich in the final 3-1.
I don't think Bayern get anywhere near Madrid. I really, the Bayern Munich are a piss poor imitation of what they have been.
I think Madrid, only that Ronaldo stepped up the last 15 games, I think Madrid are on a downward spiral rapidly.
But they have Ronaldo. Well, it's the one.
I know, but he's no Mo Salah, is he?
No, but he's not up against Van Dijk every week either.
Right, gents, I'm gonna wrap it up there because we've had nearly an hour there, and what I want to do, I want to firstly thank you all for your time. Thanks for joining us out a little bit later. We'll get you on earlier next week, mate. What I want to do, just a quick shout out just to our sponsors. So first up, loyal sponsor IPT TV. If you want to check out Jan Jansen on Twitter, his handle is IPTV for all. He's got some fantastic deals on every TV channel you can think of. If you like your sport, your pay-per-view, your documentaries, he's got them all. So check him out on Twitter at IPTV for all. And if you use the discount code LFCDT, he'll be able to give you some discount. And then we're delighted to bring on another sponsor. And if Danny, do you want to give us a little model there, mate, of the T-shirt?
Oh, yeah, I've got the T-shirts on. I'll have to get my belly out the way there, look. Nice printed T-shirts. One of my friends has just got his own label out.
Tribal Society. If you want to follow them, lads, on Twitter, it's tribal_society. And on Instagram, it's tribal.society. And they've been very kind to send us some T-shirts. So expect all of the lads on the tactics board to be wearing T-shirts next week. And also, you might see some on some of the other Day Trippers shows as well. So, as I said, check out Tribal Society. Loads of great hoodies and T-shirts on there. Yeah. Check them out and well. give us a shout out. And they'll do you a good deal. So, one final thing for me to mention. Next up on the Day Trippers on Sunday night, the Fatback 4 will be back. The lads will have the usual madness. They'll be reviewing the West Brom game and probably touching on Roma as well. Hopefully this week we won't have any more karaoke from Grizz. So with that, it's been my absolute pleasure, gents. Thanks very much for joining us, and I look forward to chatting again next week. All the best.
Okay.
Cheers, pal.